Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe that last season, T. Higgins did not show up to OTAs as well. And again, we're talking about OTAs, optional training activities. So this is an optional situation. It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory OTAs. This is optional. Meaning that you can show up, you don't have to show up. It's whatever the case. But if I am correct, the reason why he didn't show up last season is because T. Higgins has his own separate off-season workout routine that he does, which is nothing related to his contract and nothing related to his situation of requesting a trade, which is what really the media right now is trying to spin the narrative of and saying, oh, this is about T not wanting to play for the Bengals. Again, I might be completely incorrect, but I believe this has nothing to do with the Bengals. This is fully just T. Higgins in the offseason. He does this. Like, he does his own workout routine, and he goes through the whole cycle himself. So, here is what Ian Rappaport tweeted out. He said, T. Higgins requests a trade after receiving the franchise tag. Is not expected to be out for Bengals OTAs next week. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported per sources. Which, again, I do not believe this is anything. I think this is what he did last season. Again, I get it, the fact that, you know, like, oh, T. Higgins requested a trade. He's on the, you know, he's on the franchise tag. We got to talk about this. I know CeeDee Lamb's not going, and I'm not sure if CeeDee Lamb is doing it because of money purposes. But I do not believe in any way possible, and I've looked at every source possible, I don't believe that T's doing this because he's not getting paid or he's franchise tagged. I believe he does this because he has his own off-season workouts. So this is really a nothing burger in all honesty. The only reason I'm making a video about it is just kind of to clear that crap up because I don't think this is anything. He's not doing this because he's like, oh, I'm just not going to try. I'm not going to go out there. And that's what the, you know, articles from the NFL right now is coming out saying, like, oh, T is upset, so he's not going to OTAs. Like, no, he just does his own thing. He does this every single year. Not every single player. That's why this is an optional training activity. This is why this is optional OTAs. This is not mandatory. You do not get fined if you do not show up to this. It's whatever. This is just your first opportunity as a team to come together and do some training activities and see, you know, what's going on here. This has nothing to do with actual, you know, like season work. This is just optional. And again, not most players show up to these OTAs, right? This is not like it's a common for players not to show up, but there are some players, especially at the top of the league, the best players in the league, who just don't show up because they have their own off-season workouts. They could have the best contract in the world, be happy as can be, everything is perfect, and they still won't show up to these activities because of the fact that, you know, they have their own off-season situation that they have going on. It's not a storyline or a hit to the team or anything like that, just because the player simply has their own situation figured out. And as this article right here from, you know, BengalsWire.com is kind of prospecting or kind of pushing is the narrative that there's a reason why. I mean, there's no reason why. It's just the fact that this is happening. Like, I mean, look, NFL rumors, Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb and T. Higgins expected to miss OTAs. But what they don't go in is the fact that, you know, he does this every year. This is not a upset storyline of him being mad. This is just, he does his own workouts by himself. And as it says, as for T. Higgins, his frustration stems from the lack of communication regarding a new contract, franchise tag, blah, blah, blah. And listen, last year, I think the Ravens, J.K. Dobbins didn't show up to OTAs. And the reason why was because he wanted the contract. He wanted to get paid. He wasn't getting paid. He wanted to get paid. Okay, so, and again, I don't want to go on and say this never happens for players. Yeah, players sometimes, they'll sit out of training camp. They'll sit out of OTAs. They'll sit out of these stuff because they want to get paid and they're upset that they're not getting paid. But not every single time is this a, you know, a storyline where it's like, oh, the player's not getting paid, so he's not going to... No. It's sometimes the player, and again, maybe it's very rare, but sometimes a player does it because they simply have their own workout routine that they do. So, I don't think this is anything, personally speaking, but tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.